Hello, I'm Paul Hervey-Brookes, and I know that shade can be a real issue for gardeners. Whether you live in a lower ground floor apartment or whether you're living in a building which is just shaded by a much taller building, cities can be a real challenge when you're dealing with spaces where you're trying to grow plants, but it is actually quite easy to achieve. I love shade. It's actually much easier to deal with than sun, and I'm going to share with you some of my top plants for planting in shade. And there are just some really simple rules to follow, and once you've done that, just like here in my own garden, you can have a wealth of plants that are a mix from shrubs, perennials, even to annuals, and they can be flowering all the year round, so there's no reason not to have a really beautiful space. And as an example, you can grow things like Persicaria, which I'll be showing you shortly, which is really good for shade, has really good foliage. Things like woodruff, which is a Scandinavian native plant which flowers in the spring, has these amazing green foliage which can be dried and eaten in stews, soups and casseroles, and even all the way through to alpine strawberries, which actually really thrive in shade. So let's look at my few favourite plants for shade and follow a few simple rules. So you've seen some of the plants that I like to grow, and what I would suggest, and I do this myself, either in my own garden if I need to or with gardens that I'm making, is enrich the soil. If you're planting directly into the soil, make sure it's really humus rich, really good quality, and isn't impoverished. Particularly in the city, you'll find there's a lot of heavy metals in the soil which don't really help the plant, so dig in a lot of compost before you start planting. If you're growing in containers, the key is to make sure they're well watered. The more moisture in the soil, the better it is for the plants, and the more luxuriant the foliage will become, and it really will feel like a green oasis. Once you've done that, if you're growing in the ground or in a container, make sure that the space is weed free, and feed twice a year, in the spring just as growth starts, and in late summer when the plants are a little bit exhausted from pushing on a show for you. And you'll find that very quickly and very easily you'll have a beautiful green oasis even in the shadiest of corners.